Hey guys, I have a question for you. What's the difference between dark romance and urban fiction? So, I went to Barnes and Noble on yesterday to pick up a book for my daughter, and I was looking for Passion of the Heist by Quan, which I could not find because they did not carry it and I had to order it. But I am looking to kind of stretch my limbs a bit in the book area and see what else is interesting. I read a lot of urban fiction, sometimes historical fiction, Christian fiction, a little bit of romance. So I met a young lady, very nice young lady, and her genre that she specifically liked is dark romance. And we talked quite a bit, and I was trying to find out what the difference is between urban fiction and dark romance. So basically, what I came up with is dark romance is mostly comprised of stories with white tea people, and urban fiction is comprised of mostly black people. And I came to that conclusion because I am very familiar with urban fiction, and in my quest in dark romance, I could not find any black people in the stories. And I found that to be very interesting that it's basically the same thing, but you have two different names for it. And when I researched it, it basically said that dark romance is like those taboo subjects, can be messy, violent, and spicy. Is that not what urban fiction is? Anyways, welcome and welcome back. My name is Raquel, and today we're going to be talking about the 12 books I read in the month of August. So, I started out with Capadonna, which the Capone series had already been written. I saw it like it was everywhere, and for some reason, I just did not choose to look into it. And after I read the first book of Capadonna, I almost fell off my chair. Capadonna has BDE like no other. I loved it. So then I went back and read Capone because Capadonna 2 had not come out yet. So I read Capone, and he is definitely his twin. Those books were so good by that time. 2 and 2.5 had came out, and so I read the entire Capone series, Capadonna 1, 2, and 2.5. And in the blink of an eye, I looked yesterday and they have a 3, which I have not read. It will be in my, let's see, September reads. But I fell in love. Now I am like next. I'm going to see what else Miss Jahquel J has to offer. You have just grabbed me and taken hold of me, and I just definitely have to see what else you're talking about in some of those other books. Then I read Doing the Unthinkable Part 2. Nicole Jackson did it again like she always done. First book was good, but part 2 just took it up another notch, which is actually what's supposed to happen. A lot of times, book 1 might be really good and book 2 is just kind of, not to say that it usually isn't good. It's just a continuation of the other book. And so sometimes when there is a series of more than two books, I find that two does not wind up being better than one. I'll either really, really like one, and two will just be good, but not as good as one. In this case, one was a 5, and then part 2 is like a 5.5, so it's really good. Not only that, I am in this Facebook group that discusses the book, and I am enjoying this. I finished the book about a week ago, and we are still continuing this conversation on the book. And so it's like I'm still experiencing the book. It is a really great experience. I am loving it so much. Basically, if you don't know what Doing the Unthinkable is about, it's about a young lady whose name is Yahira. Yahira has a boyfriend who they're very young. They live together. I think I did a video on this book. Anyways, they live together. They're very young, and so Yahira starts to feel like Will is out, maybe cheating or something. So she kind of steps out, and so now she's in this love triangle. And honey, let me tell you, Yahira is something else. This girl is, she's got both of these guys wrapped around her finger, and she's just going on and not even really trying to make a decision. She just really just got them both. And so her boyfriend doesn't know, but the side dude, he does know, but he's so stuck that he's just kind of going along for the ride as of right now. There is going to be another book coming out, so I've heard, and I'm looking forward to that as well. I did read Wild and Reckless by Gray Huffington. It's a 3 book series. I've only read the first book so far. That is pretty, I mean, it's pretty good so far, but I have not read the entire series. Also read Having a Baby by Your Ex's Homeboy. And this one's pretty good. It's by Lady Lissa. It is about there is some DV in the book. And so she gets away from that guy and winds up finding another guy that she really likes. And that is what the story about. Basically, the other guy is her ex's homeboy. And I like the story. It's really good. It's super interesting. And that's by Lady Lissa. And Brix by Lakia, which I did a short review on Brix last week, just in case you want to watch that. Loving You Killed Me by Allie Marie. Loving You. Oh, that is also another DV book, but it is told from the perspective of a sister. So she is a survivor of her sister's unaliving, and she is telling the DV story from her perspective. That one is super interesting to hear it from a different perspective, because normally we are hearing it in the present time while it's happening. This is after the fact. And then I finally got a chance to read Razorblade Tears. And this really should be a movie. Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby should really be a movie. I could see that play out in my head so vividly. These two old guys. I mean, I don't imagine them being super old, but I do imagine them being somewhere maybe like in their 50s, and they're running around causing all this ruckus, and like these guys are bad. So I couldn't imagine what they were like in their younger years, just hearing all the encounters that they've had. These guys are gonna find out who hurt their children. So if you, I'm sorry, let me back up a bit. If you don't know, Razorblade Tears is about two fathers who have two sons who were married, and they had a daughter. Someone unalives two guys, and while the two guys are alive, each one of their fathers are not happy with their lifestyles. So once they are unalived, at that point the fathers are regretting that they were not able to just accept their children for who they are. Because, like, I mean, in real life, I'm sure well, I'm gonna say most people would prefer that their children be alive and maybe living a life that their parents don't accept, versus them being unalive. But now that somebody has done this thing to their children, they have gotten together and they've decided that they are going to find out who did this and make them pay. They make these guys seem older, so they've got to be at least in their 50s, maybe even in their 60s. And they are out and about. They are doing this little detective work. It is crazy because one of the guys, Ike, he used to be a gangbanger. He's done like 10 years in prison for some crime he committed, and he's got these tattoos that kind of marks him as a particular type of person. Then you've got Buddy, who is an older white guy who he also did time in prison for whatever his crime was. So these two guys are not your straight lace average guys. These are some bad dudes. And back in their day, I could imagine they wreaked some havoc because they are doing a heck of a job wreaking havoc in their older age. And so that's what Razorblade Tears is about. Originally, a couple months back, I read Blacktop Wasteland, All the Sinners Bleed, and can't remember the other book because he has four books. But I read those books and I didn't get a chance. I started Razorblade Tears. I did not get a chance to finish it. But I did go back just because the other books were so good. I knew that this one was going to be just as good. And just like I thought, definitely a 5-star read. I enjoyed it. It was awesome. So that is my 12 books. So I have Capadonna 1, 2, and 3, Capadonna 1, 2, and 2.5, doing the Unthinkable Part 2, Loving You Killed Me, Carrying His Homeboy's Baby, Wild and Reckless, and Razorblade Tears. That is my 12 books for the month of August. Let me know if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them. Let me know which book you thought was better, Capadonna or Capone. And until next time, see you soon.